Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. How are you this morning? It's Monday morning here, and welcome to CPtsd Live TV, where we're talking about complex trauma, complex PTSD, and navigating our way through breaking the cycle that's been handed down for generations. My name's Linda. I'm your certified trauma recovery coach. And this morning I want to share some really personal information with you about having a big vision for life, okay, for our lives, and the impact that that can have on our health. Pardon me, because I've just discovered it can have a big impact on our health. And I want to share with you some questions that we can ask ourselves to help break the cycle. And I also want to share with you a celebration for one of our global family members as well. So I'll do the celebration first. Okay, so if you look down if you look in the Facebook page, there's a Conscious Warriors post about the weekend. Okay, and on that post, one of our very, very special conscious warriors made a comment about how they have finally broken through from the victim mode into survivor mode. Now, her name is Barbara Blum, and if you go into that post and you celebrate her, that would be just wonderful, because it takes a lot of courage to break free from victim mode into survivor mode. And I, for one, believe that we need to celebrate each other, because when we celebrate each other, we're actually having the courage to use our voice as well. So head down into the weekend post of Rest, Restore, Relax, Rejuvenate, and you'll see Barbara's breakthrough, and I'm so proud of her because we haven't had this information to know how to break the cycle either. So it's brilliant that she's done this. Good morning, class, Charlotte, Laura, and it's great to have you here with me this morning. Okay, so this year, my health during the month of January has been absolutely crap. All right, let's just be real about this. It's been shocking. And I have been struggling, and I just got over the infected sinuses because I went back to doing the acupuncture. And then I got the vomiting diarrhea bug that's going around. It's been ongoing I'm up to about day 5, I think. And I just went, what on earth is happening? Laura says, how lovely to break free. Can you explain what that means, please? Okay, I'll do that before I go into what I'm talking about today. To break free means that we become conscious of a number of things. We become conscious of the story that we're telling ourselves, and we get what I call neuroeducation. So we begin to listen to all the neurological stuff that I give you, and we begin to understand how our brain's working, so that in Barbara's case, we break the cycle, okay, and we are able to say, right, I'm not a victim anymore. So I'm not a victim of what happened in my childhood. I've now recognized that I can move into survivor mode, which means that I'm recognizing that I'm just existing, I'm going through the motions, but our next step after that is to be able to move from survivor into thriver, okay? Now, it's not easy because it takes a lot of conscious work throughout our days, and it takes a lot of courage to break free from believing. So the victim mode is believing that we have no choice, we have no other options, and it's not a woe is me. It's like, where do I go? What do I do? How can I get help? And so what Barbara's done is she comes along, and if she's not here for the live, she does the replays and watches the YouTube, and she's learned a lot, and she's been able to self-reflect and see where she's been stuck in victim mode, and she's now saying, right, now I understand I'm moving into survivor mode because I'm going to be willing to take the one next step that I can see I need to take, all right? So, and when we're breaking the cycle, We do a lot of internal work. We do the self-reflection. And also, I call our brain like it's full of apps. And there are apps in our brain that were never formed or never developed, is more the word, during our childhood, because we didn't get the parenting that we needed, as well as, there's a neglect. And for me, the biggest challenge has been the abandonment wound, most definitely. Okay, so Barbara's taken a step from being victim and saying, right, there's information available and I can work out how to take my one next step. And I think that's pretty special. Okay, so back to my ill health in January. And then in the end, Nick said to me, Mum, are you stressed? And my instant response was, no, I'm not stressed, because I didn't think that I was. And I've got this wonderful year planned where I'm going to take my next steps. And I was like, no, of course I'm not stressed. Then I realised that the bigger vision that I have for my life, that I want to walk into this year, of course it's going to stress my internal system. So my whole nervous system will be going, it's like the robot from Swiss Family Robinson. Anyhow, the Family Robinson up on the space planet, going, danger, danger, danger. Don't step out into something that you don't know, that you haven't done before, that you're not equipped for. And it wants to shut down and go back into fawn mode and keep me. It's so stressful for my system for me to do something else that it's like, how can you explain? It's like putting pressure on an egg and then it just squashes and it gives in. So it doesn't mean that we stop having the bigger vision, but we do start to go in and look internally and see what is happening for us. So whilst I, Linda, in the present moment, am very excited about where I'm going, my whole nervous system is, basically going, no, let's not go there. So we were driving to gym last night and I was reflecting. I was just feeling around in my body, around where do I feel not safe? What's that happening? What's that look like for me? And then I could feel it in my diaphragm, so center around the breathing area. And I was like, so what memories attached to that? So as I was, driving and I'm thinking about it, the memory comes up of when I was a little girl. I was around 4 and I was sitting on my mum's lap in the lounge room. Next thing you know, policemen turn up on me and they start wanting me to talk. And as soon as that happened, I went and hid behind my mum's single-seater lounge. And at the time that this memory's coming up, I can feel all the tension in my body, and I could feel that, if I spoke up, that it felt like my life would end. So anyhow, they kept talking away and talking to my mum and tried to get me from behind the lounge. And then I remember going behind the 3-seater lounge. And I went, okay, I'm just staying here. I don't want to talk. And I think about how much I didn't talk in my life. And I'm like, this is so tough. But anyhow, on to gym we went. I decided, all the emotions around it weren't going to come up. I was aware that it was there. I was aware that my system is afraid of me talking up. And that's one of the things I want to do this year, is go out in public and talk more about complex PTSD. So it was all linking in. I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. So then we get to gym and I start listening to a YouTuber. And the YouTuber starts talking about, I have to say this properly, Dostoevsky. And about how, so he's a Russian guy, an author. And, he was high up in their social echelons, but they put him in prison. He spent a long time in prison. And one time, they actually put him in front of a firing squad. Now, he didn't know that the firing squad had blanks in their guns. So he thought he was facing the firing squad. This is his life on the line. And they shot the guns. But of course they had blanks, so he didn't die. And then the YouTuber explained that it's possible to develop epilepsy from this, that the fear was so intense that from that moment on, the fear of, losing his life was so intense that he developed epilepsy. Well, Nick came to gym with me and we're sitting there. Next thing you know, I'm holding a towel up to my face and I'm sobbing. And I'm like, this just made so much sense, because when I was 15, I developed epilepsy out of the middle of nowhere. Like, no one knew why. There's no family heritage, nothing. There was no reason for me to have it, seemingly. But when you look back in reflection, I felt that my life was over, that there was no hope for me, and so on and so forth, because I'd gone to live with my dad, but what I really wanted was to go home with my mum. Now, this is a scenario that repeated throughout my life. And so when the fear was so great of staying there with my dad, for me, because of feeling like my mum had abandoned me, that this is what happened. 3 months after living there, I developed epilepsy. And I just sobbed and I sobbed and I sobbed. But I knew that I would be okay as well. So I was able to finish the gym session. I didn't, keep crying for forever, but I realised how much the imprint and the beliefs from the past hold on to us every time we want to take a step forward. All right? So they're held in our bodies. So as Bessel van der Kolk says in The Body Keeps the Score, reality is our hardest challenge, because it takes so much courage to face what's held us back, all right? So then around the epilepsy, for me, there was this whole rejection of life, because I'd been rejected repeatedly by my mum. And it was really, really hard to face. But what I did was I said, I don't have the end result of all of this just yet. But what I can do is teach my brain that I am safe and that I am loved and loving and I deserve to be cherished. All right? Now, what I found was when I began the affirmations, I am cherished, it was like opening up this whole well of softness in my heart. And I just went, oh my goodness, it just felt like this was what had been missing from my life. Now, we don't go back there, we don't live there, we don't live in the past. But when we do the neurological work and the understanding of how the brain's operating and what it's causing in the body and the beliefs that are happening, we can turn them around and we can continue on to build a bigger vision for our life, whatever that may be for you individually, all right? And then we can unpack the beliefs that are holding us back, all right? So for me now, I'm going to each day affirm that I am safe. I am safe to see that I wasn't loved and cherished. I am safe to be loved and cherished. I am safe to be seen, and I am safe to speak up. Okay? And the brain and our whole nervous system need for us to feel these affirmations and to continue to take the next step, even if our internal system wants to shut down. We've got to bring this life into us. Laura says, oops, yes, I see what you're saying. I think I'm also moving beyond that, beyond the victim. Yeah, it is conscious 24-hour work, never ending. Yeah, it is. I like to have weekends off if we can. I am constantly on the lookout to find ways to move out of just existing to actually looking for what it means to live life to the fullest. Some days seem like I'm slipping back, but when I look at all the work I've done over the last years, I realise I've come a long way. It would be great to see a way to track this in a visual way, perhaps some kind of chart. Are there markers? Any ideas around this is greatly appreciated. What you can do, Laura, is you can make an actual chart for yourself. so that you can go, right, this is my one next step. All right. So for me, my one next step involves several parts. To go out and speak in public, first of all, I have to have my story right to go out to the press. So I'm doing a course that involves all my next steps and putting it all together so that it's done professionally. And that's what we've got to look at. Time is a key indicator. So we want to look at time and we want to see, am I making progress over time? It's not about how much, it's about, am I making progress? And the easiest way to explain progress is to imagine two people have $500,000 in the bank each. Now, which one of them is doing well and which one of them not so well? So we have to look at a time frame. Now, if person one has had $1 billion in the bank and they've only got 500,000 now, then they're not doing so well. But if the other person has 500,000 in the bank and they've built up over time that lump sum of money, they're doing brilliantly. So their projection, okay, for where they're going is always increasing. So what you want to do is have key indicators, key markers for you in your life. Okay, actually what you can do is grab the Victim, Survivor, Thriver chart and you can use it. I'll put it down below once I get back online. And you can use it to have key indicators of where you're moving from victim to survivor. And for those that are moving from survivor to thriver, you can have a key indicator at the top of your chart and then write down dates that you're able to achieve each one, okay? And it's not a competition. It's seeing that over time I've gained an increased awareness around what stops it from my life. And not only just what stops it, but my one next step I'm taking to increase that value or that aspect of survivor to thriver in my life. Okay? I hope that makes healthy sense for you. Okay, so questions for you for the one next step. What is happening in my life that could be causing unknown internal stress to me? So I'm an adult managing my life, but my health is showing me there's stress. So if you're moving ahead with your one next step, what is the stress that's coming up? All right, what is the stress that's trying to keep you back or keep you safe? All right, when really it's not safe. If I sit here quietly and begin to feel throughout my body for a memory, where can I feel the stuck energy? So where does it feel tight? What does the memory say to me? What is it I need to acknowledge for me? Okay. And we want to put the memory down and take our one next step. So if there's emotions around it, that's okay. We can express those emotions, but we also want to know what's our one next step so that our whole internal system can learn that we're safe to take that one next step. Always remember to let your emotions up and return yourself to the now by grounding yourself, okay? Be kind and gentle and develop an affirmation for the days ahead of you. So for me, to remember that I am safe to be cherished, I'm safe to use my voice, and this way we're reprogramming our brain to know that not only are we safe, we can manage what's ahead of us as well and anything that crops up. Good morning, Suzanne. Okay, so I will put this video and the sheet for having a big vision for your life so that it's easy to follow and it's easy for you to sit down and ask the questions and reflect on them and see what comes up for you. Remember to reach out to a professional if you need it. whether that's a trauma coach or a therapist, whatever suits you, do so, and have them help you work through this in a safe environment as well. Okay, that's it for this morning, ladies. It's been wonderful to share with you. And remember, we can have a big vision for our life, and we can do this. We can break the cycle. We don't break the cycle of complex PTSD by doing nothing. We break the cycle by engaging in life in a safe manner. Remember that you are loved. Bye for now.